Have you ever felt like your life was preparing you for something greater? As if, in the silence of your days, signs were gently knocking at the door of your heart. Signs that God is bringing you closer to your soulmate, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by a divine plan that you may have never noticed. Stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal 5 powerful spiritual signs that God places on your path before uniting you with the one who is destined for you. 1. The sign of detachment. There comes a time in life when you realize that what fascinated you yesterday no longer touches you today, as if an invisible hand were gently tearing away the threads that bound you to this world. And if you pay attention, you'll notice that this is no accident. You see, sometimes Allah tears you away from things, people, habits, not to break you, but to free you. He closes doors you thought were eternal. He removes faces you were clinging to. He removes the allure of certain pleasures that once occupied your mind night and day. And all this isn't a loss. It's a purification. Detachment is painful because it makes you believe you're losing your world. But in truth, it was your world that was pulling you away from your soul. You thought you needed these distractions, these people, these attachments. But Allah knew that if your heart remained attached to them, it would not be able to recognize what was truly meant for you. Look carefully at your life. How many times have you felt that Allah was taking away something you thought was essential? A friend you thought would last forever, but who disappeared overnight. A relationship that collapsed when you were ready to give everything. A plan, a project, a desire that faded without explanation. You thought it was the end. But in reality, it was the beginning. Because detachment is often the first sign. The sign that your heart is being emptied so that it can be filled with something else. And this is where many people go wrong. They believe that God is punishing them, that He's depriving them. But think about it. Why would the one who created you, the one who knows the thirst of your soul better than you yourself, deprive you of what you need? No. He prepares you. And sometimes this preparation is brutal. Because Allah knows that if you don't let go, you'll never move forward. So He tears away. He cuts. He shatters illusions, not to humiliate you, but to elevate you. Because as long as you cling to fragile things, how can you welcome a relationship based on something eternal? Ask yourself a simple question. Why do you think Allah is putting you through this season of loneliness, this inner emptiness, these repeated detachments? Is it really a curse? Or is it a calling? Detachment is not a punishment. It's a test of love. It's a sign that Allah doesn't want you to be a slave to what is destroying you. That He wants to purify you of what distracts you from Him. And that when your soulmate comes, you won't be in the illusion of desperate need, but in the clarity of a heart ready to love for Allah, and not out of lack. Do you know what's incredible about detachment? It's that often, you only realize its meaning afterward. During the storm, you cry, you cling, you think your life is falling apart. But a few months later, you look back and you understand. You understand that if Allah hadn't taken you from that situation, you would never have discovered the strength you have today. You understand that if that person hadn't left, you would never have had the space to welcome the one who was truly meant for you. And if you look even deeper, you will see that this emptiness that hurt you was what forced your heart to turn to Allah. And that, in truth, it was the greatest mercy. So if today you feel this detachment, if you feel that your heart can no longer nourish itself with the same things, if relationships are fading, if paths are closing, don't think that you are losing everything. You are being prepared. You are experiencing a sign that your soul recognizes, even if your spirit still struggles. And this is where you must be attentive. For this detachment is not the end. It is the beginning of an inner journey, a journey that will lead you to encounters you cannot yet imagine. 2. Peace in the midst of chaos. There is a subtle sign that few people notice, and yet it is perhaps the most powerful of all. The sign is peace in the midst of chaos. Not the peace you create by distracting yourself, not the fragile peace that depends on the opinions of others, but an inexplicable, silent peace that settles in your heart while everything around you seems to be crumbling. You know what I'm talking about. Those moments when your life is full of uncertainty, when you face losses, disappointments, delays, trials that should logically crush you. But deep down, there is a mysterious calm. You don't understand where it comes from. You should panic, but you don't. You should feel abandoned, but instead, you feel a presence. That calm isn't yours. It's a sign. It is Allah who shows you that your heart is becoming attached to Him in a way that nothing can break. It is He who gives you a taste of a security that the whole world cannot offer. And this sign often comes before a great encounter, before a turning point in your life. Why? Because your soulmate cannot feel a heart that begs, that trembles, that depends on the love of others to feel alive. If you don't have this inner peace, you risk turning the other into an idol, a fragile refuge. But when Allah grants you this peace, you no longer desperately wait for someone to complete you. You are already standing, already filled. And that is when you are ready to receive a love that will be a journey towards Him, not an escape from yourself. Think about what you have been through. How many times has life brought you to your knees? How many times have you thought you would never get back up? And yet, here you are again, with a beating heart, with a strength you can't even explain. This strength, this serenity, is a reminder. You have never been alone. Even in moments when you thought you were abandoned, Allah carried you. This peace is a divine sign because it goes against human logic. You lose something precious, and yet you don't collapse. You face uncertainty, and yet you don't despair. Everyone around you is restless, but you walk with a strange stability, as if guided by a light that others cannot see. And that's when you must open your eyes. This peace is preparation. Allah is showing you that you can live without depending on the gaze of others, without chasing illusions. He shows you that you are capable of loving not from a place of lack, but from an inner completeness. And that is what makes you ready to recognize your soulmate when they appear. Because you won't be looking for someone who will tear you away from your emptiness, but someone who will walk with you towards Him. Have you ever noticed that some couples fall apart because they have placed all their security in the other? As soon as the other weakens, everything collapses. But when two souls meet after having tasted this divine peace, they don't cling to each other like a lifeline. They walk side by side, each anchored in Allah. And that is where the union becomes solid, because it is based on a peace that nothing earthly can steal. So if today you feel this strange tranquility despite the trials, understand that it's not weakness, it's not indifference. It's a sign. It's Allah equipping you internally, preparing you to recognize what is written for you. Because your soulmate won't come to fill your despair. They will complete your journey. And if you haven't yet felt this peace, perhaps Allah is leading you there through the trials you're going through. You think they're there to break you, but they're there to tear you away from your illusions. Every disappointment, every loss, every forced solitude. It's a door closing so you can discover this inner peace. And believe me, once you taste it, nothing tastes the same again. Peace, in the midst of chaos, is a sign that your heart has found its true refuge. And when you reach that level, you become magnetic. You no longer need to chase love. True love comes to you. Because you radiate something rare in this world, a serenity that nothing can buy, nothing can steal. So ask yourself, has this peace already begun to arise within you? Do you feel that despite everything that's crumbling, there is a calm that remains? If so, know that you are already experiencing one of the greatest signs.
3. Echoes in your prayers. Tell me something. Have you ever felt like certain prayers keep coming back to your lips?
That, even when you don't plan your words, the same invocation springs from your heart again and again. You can try to forget it. You can tell yourself, I'll ask for something else. But it comes back, as if your soul were remembering something your mind doesn't yet understand. Have you ever considered that it's not you who invents these invocations, but that it's Allah who places them in your heart? You see, there are prayers that you choose, and there are prayers that choose you. And when a request persists, when it imposes itself on you relentlessly, it's often a sign that the answer is already on its way. But here's the subtlety. The answer doesn't always arrive as you expect. You pray for guidance on the right path, and suddenly, someone disappears from your life. You ask for a sincere heart, and Allah distances you from those whose intentions were not pure. You pray for your future, and suddenly a door closes abruptly, forcing you to take a path you hadn't planned, and you think your prayers are being ignored, when in reality, they resonate in the invisible world. Every tear you shed, every word you whisper, every silent sigh. These are vibrations, rising to the one who hears all. And when they return to you, they don't always come back as words. They come back as signs. Atamidai. How many times have you experienced a coincidence that answered exactly what you had secretly asked for? How many times has someone entered your life at the precise moment you needed them? How many times have you found a solution just when you thought you were at the end of your rope? Is it really a coincidence? Or is it an echo? Because Allah doesn't just respond by giving you what you want. He responds by guiding you, shaping you, tearing you away from your illusions to bring you closer to what you have truly asked for. And sometimes your own prayer becomes a test. You say, Lord, bring me closer to what is pure. And when Allah removes what is impure, you complain. You ask, show me what is true. And when He reveals to you a face you didn't want to see, you refuse. But think carefully. Who prompted you to make this supplication? And why do you think it keeps returning to your heart like a wave that keeps hitting the shore? It is because Allah wants you to know that you have been heard. That what you feel is not just a passing thought, but a sign. A sign that your soul has already begun the journey toward what is destined for you. And there's something few people understand. It's that your supplications don't just shape your future, they also shape your present. They transform your heart even before the visible answer arrives. When you ask for guidance, Allah doesn't just change your outward path. He first changes your inner outlook. When you sincerely ask for a soulmate, He doesn't send that person to you immediately. He begins by purifying your heart so that you are able to recognize and welcome them. And then you understand that prayer is more than a request. It's a transformation. Each time you repeat this same supplication, it creates an opening within you. It refines your soul, broadens your patience, and trains your heart to receive. So, the next time you feel a supplication returning repeatedly to your heart, don't ignore it. Don't think you're rambling. Don't think you're wasting your time. See it as a sign, as an echo that assures you that you're already conversing with heaven, even when you think you're alone. And when the answers begin to manifest, perhaps not in the form you imagined, dare to ask yourself, isn't this exactly what I prayed for, but in a way I didn't understand? Because sometimes Divine answers aren't wrapped gifts, but detours, wrenches, coincidences that are taken together trace a path that only you will recognize. So listen carefully. What is that whisper in your heart? What is that invocation that keeps coming back even when you try to extinguish it? Perhaps right here, in this very moment, Allah is telling you that your voice has already been heard.
4. The mirrors of your soul. There are encounters that are not random. People you meet, sometimes for a day, sometimes for a few months, sometimes for a few years, and who leave an indelible mark on your heart. They are not always your soulmate. They are not always meant to stay. But their role is immense. They are mirrors. Yes, mirrors. Not just faces, not just relationships, but reflections of your inner self. When they enter your life, something inside you awakens. Wounds you thought forgotten begin to bleed again. Emotions you had buried resurface. Buried desires resurface. And all this, not to destroy you, but to awaken you. These people are sent by Allah to show you where you really stand. Do you think you're healed? They reveal the still fragile scar. Do you think you're ready to love? They reveal your fears of abandonment. Do you think you're strong? They highlight your dependence. Every mirror is a teacher, a silent messenger who, without even knowing it, reflects your inner state. And sometimes, the pain you feel in front of them is nothing more than your soul finally seeing itself as it is. Have you ever noticed how certain people awaken the best in you? With them, you find yourself being more generous, more truthful, more sincere. They reflect the beauty that lies dormant within you. And conversely, others awaken your anger, your jealousy, your fragility. They don't create them. They only reflect what was already there. So understand this. When Allah sends you these mirrors, it's not to humiliate you. It's to prepare you. Because your soulmate cannot be recognized by a blind heart filled with unconscious wounds. You must first see what's inside you to be able to love with clarity. Think of those people who have influenced you. Those who made you smile for no reason. Those who broke your heart. Those who betrayed you. Those who inspired you. Those who supported you. Each of them was a mirror. Some showed you your strengths, others your weaknesses. But all played a role in your journey. And if you look closely, you'll see that each mirror has refined you. That you are no longer the same person you were before these encounters. That, thanks to them, you have learned to set boundaries, to forgive, to protect yourself, to hope again, yes. Sometimes the mirror is cruel. It shows you an image you didn't want to see. But if you refuse to look, how will you ever heal? How will you be able to welcome a sincere relationship if your heart still carries the shadows of the past? This is where divine wisdom comes in. Allah places mirrors in your path to polish your soul. Like a craftsman polishes a rough stone before transforming it into a jewel. You only see the bumps, the friction, the pain. But in reality, your heart is being sculpted to become capable of loving truly. Have you ever felt that strange feeling? That a person who entered your life wasn't there by chance, even if they didn't stay? As if their role was to trigger a specific transformation within you. As if they were an obligatory passage, a necessary step to lead you to a purer version of yourself. These mirrors aren't there to fill your emptiness. They're there to show you that emptiness exists, and that only Allah can fill it. They aren't there to be your eternal refuge. They're there to teach you that your true refuge can only be in Him. And once you understand this, you no longer look back on your past encounters with bitterness. You begin to see their purpose. You realize that even the most intense pain had a meaning. That each mirror brought you closer, in one way or another, to the preparation of your heart. So, the next time you encounter someone who awakened a storm within you, or on the contrary, a light, ask yourself, what is this mirror showing me?
What part of myself am I discovering? And above all, how is Allah using this encounter to prepare me for the one that will be destined to last? For the day your soulmate appears, you will need a purified, lucid heart, ready to love consciously. And it is through mirrors that you build that heart. 5. The invisible alignment. There is a sign that often escapes the eyes, but not the heart. A sign that never reveals itself at the moment you experience it, but only after the fact. It's called the invisible alignment. Imagine, you think you've missed a train, you think you've lost an opportunity, you think your life is delayed. You cry, you get annoyed, you blame yourself. But without knowing it, this detour saves you. Because that train you didn't take, that door that closed, that delay you cursed, it was a protection. Allah never acts randomly. Every delay, every intersection, every unforeseen event is part of an orchestration so subtle that your human mind cannot comprehend it. You see it as a waste of time, but in reality, you have just been placed exactly where you were meant to be. Look closely at your life. How many times have you thought your world was falling apart, only to discover months or years later that this collapse was actually your salvation? How many times has an encounter, which seemed trivial at the time, changed the trajectory of your life? And how many times have obstacles, which made you cry out in pain, turned out to be bridges in disguise? That's invisible alignment. You're not the one pulling the threads. It's Allah who weaves a larger plan. You're walking in a fog, seeing only 2 or 3 steps ahead, but He sees the whole picture. He knows the intersections, the crossroads, the delays, the synchronicities. And He guides you, even when you think you're lost. You must understand something important. Coincidences don't exist. Not in a life where Allah is the master of time and paths. Every chance is a sign. Every unexpected encounter, every forced detour, every closed door is part of this secret weave. Maybe you think you've wasted years with the wrong person. Maybe you think you've wasted your time on dead-end choices. But if you truly open your eyes, you'll see that everything you've been through has led you to be exactly the person you are today. More lucid, more awake, more ready. Invisible alignment is when Allah uses even your mistakes to bring you to where you need to be. It's when your delays become protections. It's when your failures become preparations. It's when your losses become liberations. And often, you only understand afterward. Because if you understood everything at that moment, your faith would never grow. Allah wants you to move forward with confidence, even in the invisible. He wants you to keep walking, even when the threads seem tangled. Because in truth, they aren't. It's you who don't yet see the pattern. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast tapestry. You see only the threads hanging, disordered, incoherent. You think it's chaos. But if you were to step back, you would discover a perfect work, where every color, every thread, every knot had its place. This is your life. This is invisible alignment. And this sign is even stronger when it comes to your soulmate. You think you crossed paths too soon or too late. You think circumstances have separated you forever. You think it's over. But in reality, maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe your paths still needed to be worked on, refined, purified. Maybe Allah separated you to better bring you back to each other, at the exact moment your hearts were ready. You think you've missed your destiny, but you never have that power. No one can miss what Allah has written. You can only take detour, lengthen the path, exhaust yourself in closed alleys. But alignment always catches up with you in the end. Because what is written for you will never pass you by, so look at your life differently. These delays, these failures, these losses may not be curses. Perhaps they are the invisible mechanisms by which Allah protected you from a trap, or directed you onto a path you would never have taken on your own. And if today you don't understand why certain things close in front of you, perhaps one day you will look back and say, if it hadn't happened this way, I would never have found what was truly written for me. That's invisible alignment. It is the thread you cannot yet see, but which already connects you to your future. It is the divine plan that acts silently, even when you think nothing is moving forward. If you've experienced any of these signs in your life, know that nothing is accidental. Every detail, every encounter, every detour is part of an invisible thread that God is weaving for you. And you don't walk this path alone. So tell me in the comments, which sign touched your heart the most? And if you want to receive more spiritual reminders like this one, subscribe now and activate the bell so you don't miss any messages that could transform your life. Because sometimes, a single realization is enough to see that your destiny is already underway.